What's going on, everybody? Crystal Towers here with another deck tech video. This one's kind of an old deck for me, but I did some modifications to it and it's all pretty now, and we'll get right into it. So this is Wort the Raidmother, usually used for a goblin deck. You'll see why in a second. She costs 6. She's a 3/3. I don't you like how long it took me to figure out how that much costs? Anyway, when Wort enters, create two 1/1 red and green goblin warrior creature tokens. Each red or green instant or sorcery spells you cast has conspire, which means as you cast a spell, you may tap two untapped creatures you control that share a color with it. When you do, copy it and you may choose new targets for the copy. Okay. So she comes out, she gives you two creatures, so now you have three creatures, but you could tap the two tokens or any other creatures that you have on the battlefield that share colors with whatever spell you cast, and then you can copy it. That's going to be really important in this deck. Obviously, we're going to be casting some spells, but not goblin spells. No, 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 no. Let me show you what we're going to be casting. Right here. We have 20 copies of this card. Slime Against Humanity. Create a 0/0 green ooze creature token with trample. Put X +1/+1 counters on it, where X is 2 plus the total number of cards you own in exile and in your graveyard that are oozes or are named Slime Against Humanity. A deck can have any number of cards named Slime Against Humanity. Do y'all see how crazy that is? This deck gets wide. I mean wide. It's pretty disgusting how crazy this gets with even just one or two slime of, in your hand. Excuse me. So this is a really fun deck to play. So obviously you got your 20 slime against humanity right there. Um, you're going to be casting those right off the rip as often as you can. Um, if you get her out, you're going to be copying it. But we've got some other ways to copy some spells, so let's talk about them. Sorry, I bit my tongue, so I might talk a little funny. But I digress. We'll press on. Chandra's Hope Beacon. She costs 6. Comes in with 5 loyalty. And whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, copy it. Boom. Okay, we're just copying. So if you use Wort conspire thing ability, you can copy it and then copy it. So now you're getting multiple spells. Now, the one bad thing about copying it, I will say this right off the rip. If it's your first slime against the humanity and you copy, the copies won't see anything in the exile or the graveyard because you don't have any. So your first slime against humanity doesn't copy well. But after that, it does. It copies really well, and the more you have in there, it's just, so gross. So this is why she's in here. Oh, but also she's a planeswalker, so she has all these other abilities as well. Like that's what's crazy about her in this deck. This doesn't always work to your advantage like this, but this does exactly what you're. This alone does what you're trying to do. This is all extra. So for +2, you can add 2 mana of any uh, combination of color. For +1, you can exile the top 5 cards of your library until the end of turn. You may cast instants or sorceries or slime against humanity. Excuse me. Uh, from among them, from among those exile cards. That's pretty bonkers. And it's a +1. Like, good grief. Ardent minus Hex. Chandra deals X damage to each of up to 2 targets. I mean, whatever. Double Vision. Whenever you cast your first instant or sorcery spell each turn, copy that spell. You may choose new targets for the copy. I mean, this is the golden card of the deck. This is a new addition, actually. When I saw this and I read it and I understood it, this is stupid. If somebody's playing this deck and they play this card, kill them. Like, all aggro goes on them. Let me show you why. Drumming Zone costs 5. Spells you cast have Ripple 4, which means whenever you cast a spell, you may reveal the top 4 cards of your library. You may cast spells with the same name as that spell from among the revealed cards without paying their mana cost. Put the rest at the bottom of your library. Now, this does not count for the copies. You don't get to do this for every copy, but I cast Slime Against Humanity. I look at the top 4 cards of my deck. Oh wait, there's another Slime of Humanity. Let's say there's let's just say there's one. Okay, so then I cast that spell, Slime Against Humanity, right? Off the ripple effect, right? But then the ripple effect happens again, so I look at the top four cards again, and let's say there's another one, because there's 20 of them in the deck, so there's a pretty good chance you're gonna hit them. I can just keep doing this until we run out of, until we don't hit it. That's crazy. This thing could go off. It could whiff, but with 20 slimes, I'm pretty sure it's not gonna whiff. Not very often, but so this is a really awesome card. Another really fun card, Twinning Staff for 3. If you would copy a spell one or more times, instead copy it that many times plus an additional time. You may choose new copies for the additional. So already it's doing what we want. So this is what I love about this deck so much. Like we have Chandra and then we have Twinning Staff. And there's a couple other things. They already do what we want them to do. But then they have an ability that lets me, get to the next level anyway. So it costs 7, so it's a lot. But I can copy target instant or sorcery spell you control. I may choose new targets for the copy. What's nice about this, even though it costs so much, is it lets me choose pretty much anything I need. So it doesn't have to be Slime Against Humanity. It could be something else. Maybe you got to kill 2 things. Okay. So those are our copy spells. We're just gonna go through the list. I just want to. So we're copying spells, which is mostly Slime Against Humanity. We got our copy spell, we got our commander. Now let's just talk about the rest of the deck. So obviously we got one board wipe in here, just in case things don't go our way. Um, this spell is Blasphemous Act, so you're basically paying 1 and you're going to deal 13 damage to everything on the board. Should kill pretty much everything. Let's talk about some card draw. We have Collective Unconscious. It's costly. It's 6, I know, but draw a card for each creature you control. I mean, it's a sorcery spell too, so you could copy this if you needed to. Faithless Looting, also sorcery, could be copied. Draw 2 cards, then discard 2 cards. Has flashback, of course. Also, can we just talk about how awesome that art looks? That's pretty awesome. Um, Shamanic Revelation. Draw a card for each creature you control. Again, pretty good. Costs 1 less, but also you gain 4 life for each creature you control with 4 or greater. I mean, your slimes are gonna get big. And as always, the One Ring. I pretty much put this in every deck. If somebody has something else that they think would be better than this, I can slide into pretty much every deck. It's pretty good. Enters. If you cast it, you gain protection from everything to your next turn. At the beginning of your upkeep, you lose 1 life for each burning counter on the One Ring. Put a burning. If you can tap it to put a burning counter on the One Ring, then draw a card for each burning counter on the One Ring. So cumulative damage with cumulative card draw. I like it. Um, we do have the Ozolith. I went back and forth on this. Uh, I feel like I overused this card. Uh, and it's kind of it's a little weird, wonky in this deck. But your slimes are coming in with +1/+1 counters. But when they die, you can put all of that on this. Um, and then just move it onto somebody else during the next combat. So it's a wonky card, but I really like it. Jeskai is okay. So, all right. So that's the counters. That basically gives you counters. There's not a lot of like other counter things really that I want to use in Gruul, but we also have this. This is almost a win con. It's City of Fire. It costs a lot, but hold on. We have Convoke, which means your creatures can help cast a spell. For each creature you tap while casting a spell, pay for 1 or 1 mana of that creature's color. So you could essentially pay, if you've got enough creatures, you could just cast this for free. And then if a source you would control would deal damage to a permanent or player, it deals triple that damage instead. I mean, this could get really, really gross. It was a win con. I moved out of the win con. It doesn't outright win the game. It just makes you a big target and or lets you win the game if you have the right setup. But I digress. And then of course we have our doublers. Since the slimes are token, we want to double them. So doubling season, if an effect would create 1 or more tokens under your control, it creates twice that many of those tokens instead. And an effect would put 1 or more 1 or more counters on a permanent you control. It puts twice that many of those counters on creatures on that permanent set. Now, despite how I gargled that at the last minute, most of y'all know what doubling season does. What I like about this is usually doubling season is in a deck to do one of these effects for some of your things. So like, if you're in a token deck, you're just getting a bunch of tokens. You're spawning all the tokens, right? That's what you're trying to do. If you're in like a counter deck, you're just trying to get a bunch of counters. Slime Against Humanity will trigger both of these. It will create more tokens, and then it will put more counters on those more tokens, and also the original tokens. This is just like a major player in this deck, more so than I think in most other decks. It's really disgusting. Also, if you don't know, if you have Doubling Season out and you bring Chandra out, she will not enter with 5, but with 10. So, that's worth noting. If you didn't know that. Parallel Lives, a weaker version of Doubling Season. If an effect will create one or more tokens under your control, it creates twice that many of those tokens instead. Um, if you have one of these out and your commander out and one of these copying spells and you cast one of these, you are casting a lot of slime. I mean, this is like monster blood slime from Goosebumps. I mean, it's gonna get gross. Okay, so that's kind of your play. Now we got some flashback effects. Is that what it's called? It flashback effect. Okay, backdraft high kite, hell kite, high kite. Wow, it's my tongue. It's not my fault. It's my tongue. Um, this time. I'll come up with an excuse for next time. Okay, so for 5, you have flying 4/4. Whenever this creature attacks, each instant or sorcery card in your graveyard gains flashback until end of turn. The flashback cost is equal to its mana cost. That's all your slimes of humanity again, against humanity again. Get a flashback. For when they've been blowing up the board. I'm talking about you, Joe Ray. You know who I'm talking about, Joe. Damn it. So when you blow up the board, um, a lot, and the game is dragged on, and you've got a lot of mana just sitting there. Well, here you go. Just recast all your slimes against humanity and be like, you shouldn't have done that. Should have just died when it wouldn't have been so painful. We also have Mistrix Mastery. This is an awesome. I didn't like a lot of the what do they call it? The Final Fantasy through the ages cards. But this one was actually a really pretty one. And the little Jacobo right there is really cool. Anyway, so exile target card that's an instant or sorcery card from your graveyard. For each card exiled this way, copy it, and you may cast that spell, or you may cast that copy without paying its mana cost. Okay, but then you can overload it. This is way better than a backdraft highlight kite. This is all your slimes against humanity. Sorry, Joe, but your board wipes did nothing. You lose. Good day, sir. Anyway, yeah. So flashback is really important. It's not. It's only 2, so we're not making it a huge focus because we've already got 20 and we've got a bunch of copy stuff. So I'd rather just not rely on flashback, but it's there for when you need it. Of course, we got mana ramp, Assailed Altar. You can sack a creature, add 2. I mean, that'll help pay for your, Hellkite. But you're gonna have a lot of tokens. Circle of Dreams Druid. It adds force for each creature you control. Could be really gross. Cultivate. Of course, you search your library for 2 basic lands, put 1 into your hand and 1 on the battlefield tapped. So really good. Kodoma's Reach. I have mixed feelings about this art, but I like it. I like it enough to actually use it. It basically does the exact same thing Cultivate does, and I think that's all of them. Yeah. So we've basically got 2 Cultivates, and then this thing which lets me, uh, tap and get green for each creature. It's basically a Guile's Cradle on a stick, which there should be a Guile's. Yeah, it's basically a Guile's Cradle on a creature. And then Ashiel's Altar. So you got a lot of mana ramp. And then, of course, over here, did we... So mana ramp is the way I differentiate between mana ramp is mana ramp is essentially something you put on the battlefield that will also help you next turn, not just this turn. Whereas ramp will only help you this turn. So with that, we have Jeskai Will, which again is going to be really cool in this deck. Choose one. If you control a commander as you cast the spell, you may choose both instead. You can add Mountain for each card in target player's hand. Okay, so that's a mana ramp for you. Or you can exile the top 3 cards of your library. You may play them this turn. So it's pretty cool. We do have 1 mana reduction. I thought about taking him out, but I don't know. It's probably more helpful than it looks just in the deck. Each spell you cast that has red or green cost, 1 less to cast each turn. This makes your slimes against humanity though only cost 2, and that's pretty bonkers. Um, then of course we have mana rocks. Now just real quick, if y'all been following my guides, I usually do 5 mana rocks, but I recently watched a video, if I can find it, I'll link it down below. But I probably won't be able to find it, to be honest. Um, I watched the video where a guy made an argument that you should run less mana rocks. And I listened to it. I didn't like it at first, but the more I thought about it, the more I'm like, he might be right. So what I did is I just took out one mana rock. Which usually I have four really good mana rocks, and then one kind of like, it kind of like in this one it's Pyromancer Goggles, which you'll see why that's good. Um, so I'm usually struggling to find the fifth one anyway. So I decided that I'm just gonna run four for now on. I might update the decks later to reflect this across the board. Um, and if I have a special one like this one has Pyromancer Goggles, we're gonna cut Mox Diamond. I was trying to decide between Mox Diamond and Chrome Mox, and I decided Chrome Mox should actually get me ahead on turn one. Potentially. More so than I think Mox Diamond can. More often of the time. So let me know in the comments down below if you think that's the wrong choice. Mox Diamond, Chrome Mox. That's going to be a discussion point that I'd like to have with people, and I'd like to know what the community. I'm not the voice of the community, and I'm not the most experienced one, so I would like to know what people think, whether I did the right move or not. But I digress. So of course we have Soul Ring, costs one, gives me two. Arcane Signet costs two, but I can add one mana of any color in my color's identity, which is basically any color I need for this deck. And then Chrome Mox, a little funky. When it enters, you may exile a non-artifact or non-land card from your hand. So it can't be a land, can't be an artifact. And then you can add one mana of any of those exiled creatures' colors. So, you know, if you exile Chandra, you only get a red. Um, if you exile Shamanic Revelation, you only get a green. But if you exile, I don't know if I have any. Oh, if you exile this guy, you get a red and a green. See how that works? That's how. Okay. So, all right. So, Pyromancer Goggles. This is a really fun one. Really sick art, by the way. So it costs five, so it's a little costly. You add one mountain. That's not great. But when this mana is spent to cast a red instant or sorcery spell, copy that spell, and you may choose new targets for the copy spell. You know what? I just realized that this is a really bad card in this deck because Slime Against Humanity is green. So we'll take this out. We're actually just gonna put Mark's Diamond in right now. Oops, that's not how that works. Sorry guys. I don't usually make these kind of mistakes in these videos, but Mark's Diamond is alright. And then we're actually just gonna slide this out. So, alright. See what I mean? So like, you know, we're already at four. So Mox Diamond, cost zero. If this artifact would enter, you may discard a land card instead. If you do, put this artifact onto the battlefield. If you don't, sacrifice this, put it into his own graveyard. So when you play Mox Diamond, you have to discard a land. But then you can tap it and add one mana of any color. All right. So that's really sad about Pyromancer's Goggles, and I'm sorry that we just took like a few seconds to do all that. Please forgive me. You know. Anyway, all right. So this is we're gonna move into some protection stuff. These are some fun stuff. So Drowsy Monument costs five. Creatures you control get +1/+1 and have flying and are indestructible. So Joe, your board wipes don't work on this. Also, flying the +1 is awesome, pretty good. But the catch is, at the beginning of your upkeep, you have to sacrifice a creature, and if you can't, sacrifice this artifact. But again, you should have a lot of creatures. So with tokens and stuff like that. So just sack a token and move on. Heroic Interventions, awesome. Permanent you control, gain hexproof and indestructible till end of turn. You know, prevents a board wipe. Vial of Summer. Draw a card if an opponent has cast a blue or black spell this turn. Spells you control can't be countered this turn. So you can actually stop them from countering one of your spells if you need to. Um, so if I played Blasphemous Axe, for instance, because I need to wipe the board, and somebody's like, I'm going to counter that, I can respond with Vial of Summer. And then when mine resolves first, it will make my Blasphemous Act uncounterable. You and permanents you control gain hexproof from blue and black until end of turn. You and they can't be the target of blue and black spells or abilities your opponents control. So it's kind of niche, but I think it's a pretty fun one to have. You can replace it for whatever you want, if you really want it to. We talked about Jeskai Will. Alright, so what is this category? Removal. Alright, so acidic slime, it's an ooze. That's why it's in here. Otherwise, it's just too much, and I would choose something else. But Death Touch, and when this creature enters, destroys target artifact, enchantment, or land. Doesn't hit Planeswalker, which kind of sucks, and doesn't hit a creature. But being able to blow up a land or an enchantment is pretty good. Also, it's an ooze. Beast Within destroys target permanent. Anything on the battlefield I need gone, and it just becomes a 3/3 green beast token. And then Scavenging Ooze I put as removal, but it's not like hard. It's not removal on the battlefield. It's removal on the graveyard. So it costs 2. It's an ooze. And then you can pay a green, exile a target card from a graveyard. If it's a creature card, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature, and you gain 1 life. So, it's a fun, good card. We've talked about slime against humanity. Now let's talk about some token generators. So these are other things that generate tokens as well. So if you thought all we had was slime against humanity, you are wrong. That's just the go-to thing. But we got some extra flavorful stuff. So again, it's an ooze. It's a 5/2/2. When this creature enters, create a 2/2 green ooze creature token. At the beginning of your end step, put a +1/+1 counter on each ooze you control. This thing is a monster. Okay, and for 5, create a 2/2 green. I said 5. I'm sorry, that's 4. I can't math. Um, create a 2/2 green ooze creature token. So I mean, this is creating oozes on a stick. They're not going to be as powerful. 2/2 obviously isn't as powerful as the one that slime against humanities, which become increasingly more powerful. But I mean, this is going to make them powerful, and just at this point, you're just trying to flood the board. Biowaste Blob is a 4/0/0. Oozes you control get +1/+1. It's fine. So that gives him the +1/+1. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you control a commander, create a token that's a copy of this creature. So that gets out of hand. This whole deck everything in this deck just gets out of hand very quickly if people don't answer it. Consuming Blob, 3. Sorry, I was gonna say it's a 3/5. It's not. It's a sorry guys, it's a 5. People are texting me, blowing me up. Alright, it's also an ooze again. It has CD8 right here. Card defining effect. So you have to read the card to determine what the effect are. And this is active in all zones. Graveyard, library, whatever. This will take place. So consuming Blob's power is equal to the number of card types among cards in the graveyard, and its toughness is equal to that number +1. So it can get bigly. Back when I created this deck, there were only 8 card types. Now there's like 12 or something like that. It's crazy. So it can get pretty bigly. At the beginning of your end step, create a green ooze creature token with this token's power is equal to the number of cards types among cards in your graveyard, and its toughness is equal to that +1. So again, just out of hand. And then second harvest, a little Tom Bombadil for you. For 4, for each token you control, create a token that's a copy of that permanent. Now, my guys, my guys. If you copy this spell and you've got a lot of tokens, that is sick. Oh my gosh. Just somebody do it. Somebody do it. Alright, is that all but the land? Wow, we're flying through this. I feel like I missed a sec. Usually when I fly through it, I miss a section. I'm also kind of rambling instead of like actually reading the cards. I apologize. I'm trying to switch between YouTube and Twitch and different personality kind of thing. Alright, we'll talk about the win con. Greater Hoof Behemoth. I don't know if I like that arc, but anyway. So Greater Behemoth, it costs a lot. But it has haste. It's a 5/5, and when this creature enters, creatures you control gain trample and gain +X/+X until end of turn, where X is the number of creature cards you control. Or creatures you control. It doesn't have to be cards. Otherwise, tokens wouldn't count. But so the number of creatures you control. So you drop this thing, and if you have enough creatures, you just kill the whole table. This thing is absolutely gross. Porphyros, God of the Forge. He costs 5. He costs 4. Wow, this is like every. I don't know what. Okay, anyway, he costs 4. He's a 6/5. He's indestructible. He's an enchantment creature. As long as your devotion, which is these pips, you have to count 5 of these, is less than 5. Porphyros isn't a creature. But what we really want is this ability right here. Whenever another creature you control enters, Porphyros deals 2 damage to each opponent. It's not a win con on its own. It's not going to win you the game the moment you play it, but the pinging is so much in this deck that if they don't answer Porphyros, everybody's going to die. And they're probably going to try to. Porphyros is hard to remove when he's not a creature, and we have a lot of tokens and not a lot of red. So you're actually probably never going to be. Actually, I don't think you can make this guy a creature. You could. You'd have to put all your red stuff on the field though. So he most likely will never be a creature. And what that's going to mean is they're going to have to come up, like, they're going to have to exile an enchantment. So there's a lot of destroy enchantments. Very few, there's not as much exile. I'm not saying they don't exist, but the easiest way to get rid of Porphyros is to kill you. So you put him down, they're coming for you. Be able to be able to defend yourself because they will come for you. And then this sick thing, Triumph of the Horde is a 4-drop sorcery. Until end of turn, creatures you control get +1/+1 and gain trample and infect. So if you got, again, it's kind of like Crater Hoof Behemoth, but you don't need as much power because you only have to do 10 combat damage. You only have to do 10 damage to get to get infect. So yeah, uh, this absolutely can win the game. And then this is kind of like Porphyros. Whenever a creature you control enters, it deals damage equal to its power to any target. But remember, your slimes are going to get really big, and this replacement effect from here will take place before the Warstone Forge goes off. So your five counters is going to be 10, and then you're going to deal 10 damage to something, which could be somebody's face. So that's the deck. It's really wide. It's very gross. It's constantly doing something that has to be answered to. It is a very aggressive deck. People are not gonna let you sit there and do all your fun stuff because they won't be able to. Nothing spectacular in the lands. Yeah, I can't think of anything. We'll just go over them real quick. Ancient Tomb, cast, adds 2 mana. This land deals 2 damage to you. Fetch land, fetch land. Beseiju, it's a land, but also you could discard it to destroy target artifact, enchantment, or non-basic land an opponent controls, and then that person would search for a basic land type, put it onto the battlefield. This ability costs 1 less to activate for each legendary creature you control. Um, I have won games because of this. Especially when people play like an enchantment that like locks down your commander. You can just be like, no, thank you. So it's options. Cavern of Souls. You just unfortunately you should probably just name Goblin. It's just there to protect your commander. It's not going to protect your slimes. You could use Ooze and then protect all your other oozes. If we look at the deck right quick, if we look at the creatures, we have an Ooze, 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 Ooze. So, most of our creatures are oozes, but honestly, I would probably just name Goblin, and that will protect them and this one. And yeah, I mean that's probably the best use of that. Where are we? So Cavern of Souls. It's a dual land. You can fetch it because it's a mountain forest. So these fetch lands that require you to search for you can't get a swamp because you don't have it, but you can get a mountain. But you can go ahead and just grab this thing. Don't enter tapped unless you control 2 or more basic lands. So you probably don't want to grab this first unless it's maybe like the first turn. Um, but anyway, City of Brass deals 1 damage to you, but taps for any color. Command Tower taps for any color that you need, because, well, add 1 mana of any color in your commander's color identity, which is going to be green and red, which is the only colors you need. Uh, this land enters tap. I don't usually like lands that enter tap. Actually, I don't like this land. I would take this land out and put a non-tappy land in. Again, I made this deck a while ago. I thought I had updated it, but I just did a cursory glance at the lands, so my bad. Uh, I do not like lands that come in tapped unless they do something extraordinary. And I can show you some lands I've passed up in some of my other decks that you'll be like, okay, this dude does not play lands that come in tap. I do not like them. This can flip to whichever one you want. Exotic Orchards, add 1 mana of any color that a land an opponent control could produce. Um, Hopefully they can produce lands. This taps for colors, or you could tap a colored land to get 2 of any colors that you need. We've got a couple of floors. I think there's like 3. There's like 3 of each. Gallows Cradle, proc to discard because it's too expensive. Um, Look how much it is on Card Hoarder. Any card that's more than $3 on Card Hoarder is a really good card. It adds, or it's very rare. Adds green for each creature you control. It's gross. Gemstone Caverns. If it's in your opening hand, you can exile a card and put this onto the battlefield, and then it will tap for it'll have a luck counter on it, and then it'll tap for any color. Otherwise, you can just put it on the field, and you don't have to pitch anything. It's just a colorless. But you know, it's kind of a gamble, but it's a fun gamble when it works. It's a pain land. Guessing workaround. It gives your creature trample, but your slime against humanity cards already have trample, right? Yep. Create a use token with trample. So it is useful for all your other stuff, um, but you don't really need it for your slime for your token slime. Mana Confluence is basically City of Brass. Another fetch land. Some more mountains. Prismatic Vista. You can sacrifice it and you can go get a basic land and put it onto the battlefield. It doesn't come in tapped, but you just have to pay 1 life for it. So that's why it doesn't come in tapped. Reflecting Pool adds 1 mana of any type that a land you can control could produce. So pretty good, you know, basically like another command tower. Uh, yep, this is another one of the check lands. Check to see if you have 2 or more lands. Uh, oh, sorry. This is a battle land, or as I like to call it, tango lands, because it takes 2 to tango. Anyway, uh, tango land, check to see if you have a mountain or a forest. Otherwise, it comes in tapped. Scolding Tarn, obviously, is a fetch land. This is a cycle. Yeah, I don't know what's. Oh, this is searchable. Uh, I'm gonna have to work on this because I haven't made a Gruul deck in a while, so I haven't messed around with these things. Again, I really don't. Even though it's searchable, you can leave them in there if you want to search this your first turn if you don't have a play. But I really just don't like lands that come in tapped. It just slows you down. It's not great. Um, Taps also gives +1/+1 and trample, so it would actually be worth it to hit a slime with this, even if it has trample, because it gets +1/+1. But you know, it's in there for other things. You have other things. I mean, uh, okay, this comes in tap. So I don't mind if they come in tap unless there's a condition that would make them untap. So this comes in tapped unless I control 2 or more opponents, which I do because it's commander. So this is going to come in untapped. Stomping Ground, I can, you know, it's a shock land. I can pay 2 to have it come untapped. And also the important part is it's a mountain forest, which means I can fetch it. This is not. So Strip Mine in case you need to get rid of one of their lands. Taiga is a mountain forest. So, you know, it's the OG dual land. Urza Saga. This is a thing, I don't know if it should go in every deck, but it comes out turn 1, you get to use this. Turn 2, this saga gains tap pay 2, tap, create a 0/0 colorless construct artifact creature token with this token gets +1/+1 for each artifact you control. I don't know. It's okay. You don't really need it, but if you have things out, this like a doubling season, you know, it could be cool. And then finally, you can search your library for an artifact card with 0 or 1. This is mostly gonna go get your Soul Ring and put it on the battlefield, then shuffle 'em. Especially if it's like your first turn. Verdant Catacombs. Another fetch land, and then Yavamaya's Cradle of Growth is each land is a forest in addition to its other land types. This is also for all your opponents, so this could help your opponents out, but it pretty much it makes all your red also tap for green, which is awesome. And I think that's everything. Yeah, that's the whole deck. So I appreciate you guys letting me ramble through. I'm sorry that was kind of like a cluster. Gargling at some point. Um, this is a really fun deck. I'm gonna put it together on MTGO. We're gonna stream it, and then I'll have some. Hopefully, before I actually post this video, we should have some game footage for you guys. But yeah, if you wanna watch me play this deck, I stream Twitch Monday nights between like 9 and midnight Eastern Standard Time. Uh, yeah, and then I'll have some gameplay videos, and I also have a Discord if you want to come join me and you want to play against me, and you think you can take this deck on, please come at me. Like I'm confident in it. But other than that, guys, appreciate your time and hope you have a good day. Peace.